Hello and welcome to this week's Modern Toy Fair News, the weekly show that talks about toys. As always, I am joined by Jamar_Games, but that is not his last name, so don't get confused.
Yes, please
How
don't.
are, how are you this week, Jamar?
I'm doing great, man. I'm doing awesome. I'm actually in really good high spirits. How about you, Mike? I never ask how you're doing.
I know you're such a rude co-host. I'm pretty good. I mean, it's been a pretty decent week for toys.
It
Between
has.
Comic-Con was last week, I've found quite a few things that I'm looking for in stores, which is nice. Which is a very big change of pace, and
It is.
there's all sorts of exciting news both for the show and for some companies that are finally rectifying issues that are a big problem in their toy lines. So
Yeah.
I guess
Let's
let's get right into it. There's no sense in delaying. First, we're going to first I want to say we are going to have a very special announcement, which may or may not be a giveaway. So stay tuned because somewhere in the show, and it's even in the show notes randomly, I'm gonna spray it on you, and you're gonna have a chance to win something really cool. So.
Can I win it?
No, you can't.
Oh, okay.
Because then people start questioning our ethics, and
Okay. That's fair. That's fair.
they'll be like, "Why are you giving things to your friends and we can't find it in the wild?"
Oh.
Get it? It's a joke about Randy. Anyway, so first bit of news this week. After I bitched about it on one of the last episodes, Mattel showed off pretty much everything I complained I didn't get to see. So, with their WWE figures, they revealed Elite 80 Kyle O'Reilly, Elite 80 Kevin Owens, Elite 80 Viking Raiders Eric and Ivar, Elite 80 Special Edition Rocky Johnson, Elite 82 Keith Lee, Elite 82 John Morrison, Elite Survivor Series Samoa Joe, Elite Survivor Series Drew McIntyre, Elite Survivor Series Kane, Elite Survivor Series John Morrison, Elite 2-Pack Goldberg and Bret Hart, Elite Fan Takeover Johnny Gargano, Elite Fan Takeover Christian, Elite Fan Takeover Randy Orton, Elite Fan Takeover NWO X-Pac, Basic 111 Rowan, Basic 111 Kevin Owens, Basic 111 Jeff Hardy, Basic 111 Nikki Cross and her Chase variant, and they gave us more updated pictures of the changes they made to Firefly Funhouse Bray, which were supposedly going to make the figure better. But they didn't. It still looks like dog shit. It still looks like a fat dude who just got painted red, which is super annoying, especially because for $10 fucking you can get the basic version of this figure that doesn't come with the puppets, and he has a newly molded sweater piece. Like his arms and like chest like region are, from what I can tell, because I do not recall any other figures that would have a sweater on. Brand new molded parts for a $10 fucking figure, but you have a ringside exclusive Elite figure, and you paint a fat dude. Seriously, that's where you cut costs? We're gonna get charged $35 for this figure to get the fucking puppets to put it with the better $10 figure. Like, my God.
I mean, I guess I don't know. I mean, excuse me for the lack of knowledge. I'm assuming he's not built this way in real life.
I mean, he's a larger fellow. He is
Okay.
He's definitely a larger fellow. He's the problem with it is so Bray Wyatt's character is essentially almost like when he's doing promos and interacting with people just verbally, he's Mr. Rogers. He's just this fun children's show host, and he's got these creepy puppets who chime in and talk during his Firefly Funhouse. And if you haven't, like, obviously you haven't, so you need to look up at least one of these on YouTube. It is fucking gold. Like, this may be the best thing in pro wrestling in the past like 20 years.
Oh God.
But his alter ego is the Fiend, which is
I know
the
him.
creepy, the one with the Insane Clown Posse murder mask.
Right.
He's the one who actually does the wrestling for him 9 times out of 10. There's been a few cases where they weren't going to have Bray win, so they had Bray just come out as himself, so they wouldn't hurt the Fiend. And then they had him job to Goldberg. But that's not the point.
Yeah.
But yeah, and when he's in
Tangent.
his Firefly Funhouse, he's got like khaki pants on. He's got a red sweater with a little black like polo underneath, and the collar's coming out. Sometimes it's different colors, but usually it's black. And like the like you can see, I have it in the drive. I put the basic in there as well.
I see it.
Fully
can't
molded
really
fucking
tell
sweater.
But then you look at and which one's the Elite.
The Elite figure then is just the Kevin Owens fat body with a little piece of like tacky like stuff over his belly button, so it doesn't look like they paint a fat dude. Even though you can clearly see his moobs. I
didn't even like the detail of the sweater on the Elite one. It looks like spandex.
Oh yeah, it literally looks like he has a skin tight like paper thin sweater on, like almost like he's like got a superhero suit on. It's insane.
Yeah. Oh well, that's nice.
Yeah, so that's a show as it is, and they've already shown factory samples of the box and everything. So I have to assume it's too late for them to fix it, which means I'm going to have to probably reach out to Rebel 10 Customs and see if they can make me a sweater so he doesn't look like complete dog shit. And then probably try to paint the pants, because he wore black pants when he wrestled a match, but he doesn't wear them during Firefly Funhouse, and I feel like if you're getting this Bray, you're not getting him because of his one-off matches where he gets fucking beat. Like, you're buying it because you want the puppets and him all set up. And they did also reveal, I don't think I put a picture in, but the backing of the box can be pulled out, and it actually unfolds as a like backdrop for the Firefly Funhouse, which is kind of cool.
That's cool.
And one thing is really funny is I love that they put the puppets in, and if you'll notice, one of the puppets literally is Vince McMahon.
Oh, is that the one in the top right?
In the suit?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny.
He's got the evil boss character, and it's 100% Vince McMahon.
That's funny.
And it's just hilarious. But on a more exciting note, like I got the Kyle O'Reilly popped up, and his normal version is the War Games attire, so I pre-ordered that. Keith Lee is in there, and they went with like his silver and pink attire, but I don't care. I'm still pre-ordering because he looks absolutely incredible. I'm probably gonna order the, where is it? I think it's Elite 82 as well. John Morrison. Most of the other announcements didn't really do much for me. I do know a lot of people are pissed about the fan takeover choices, because it's weird. You watch all these videos on YouTube of like people who collect these things, and all of them have the same opinion about which figure needs made for all of the like fan takeovers, like even in Series 1 that we talked about last week, and almost none of those got picked. So it's like, is it really fan takeover,
or it's fan
or the fans really just dumb? Because honestly, out of all these, the only one I've seen people genuinely happy about is Johnny Gargano, and they're still not happy about him. They're butthurt because in his Wolverine attire there, when he actually wore it, the vest has like 3 claw rips in the front of it. And some people were like, oh, they couldn't do that because copyright's bullshit. It had nothing to do with copyrights. It 100% had to do with the fact they didn't want to have to try to mold fucking cut marks into a vest that they already have molded. Because they were already spending a shit ton of money on all that paint deco. If they ain't gonna give Bray a fucking sweater, they sure as hell ain't gonna give Johnny Gargano slip marks in his vest.
That's a fair point.
However, one of the biggest complaints about Johnny Gargano is his boots. So he has kick pads in real life, but they're very loose fitting. They're not like form fitting like some of the other wrestlers. So when you look at him, his legs just look like his lower legs look straight. They don't have the definition of like the calf to the ankle.
Oh, I see.
So to recreate that, they gave him like these shorter boots that are straight and still have like a kick pad on the front, and they make it so they paint the lower leg as well to make it look like his boots continue. And it doesn't look great, but it doesn't look bad.
Yeah.
The problem is all the kick pads they have are based off wrestlers who wear form-fitting ones, so they have all that extra like definition in the calf and stuff. And at that point, and they're also longer because Johnny Gargano is also a little shorter than most. So that's my guess of why they still are doing this. Does it look terrible? No. Do I wish they'd, show out the new molds for it? yes, but this is like our third Johnny Gargano figure, so it's not like they were like pumping them out.
Mm-hmm.
And with the amount of paint deco this thing's getting, like they could have literally just gave us like black boots and been like, fuck off.
I mean, it
But
looks like they tried.
They matched this attire almost 100%. Like literally the only thing I saw that wasn't matching was the fact that it didn't have the claw marks, and that's an easy fix. Get an X-Acto knife and some paint and voila.
Everyone's not as resourceful as you, man.
Oh, I mean, I can cut things, including myself. Still have a big ass scar going down my finger from my last X-Acto knife incident.
God.
Yeah, that was a fun day. But yeah, overall, I mean, I'll buy him. He looks cool. The Christian, they already made that attire like 5-10 years ago. At the beginning of the Elite line. Randy Orton, I didn't care about either way. X-Pac, I'm excited for because I'm an NWO fan. So like, I don't know if I'll get it, but the fact that he comes with the 2 sweet hands and he's got the NWO, I'm like, it's a maybe.
That's cool. Yeah.
It's a
This
maybe
is something
for me.
I know.
Exactly. See.
I like the bandana too.
So overall, like, I'm down. I have minimal complaints about the Elite line right now. It's mostly just around Bray Wyatt because I was super excited when the Firefly Funhouse set was like leaked on like a sell sheet, and then when they revealed it and it was just, oh, we painted the Kevin Owens body. I'm like, fuck me. Like, I would pay them an extra $10 for this figure rather than have to pay someone to make me a soft goods sweater.
Yeah, but then you get to support a local business, Mike.
I trust me. Rebel 10 Customs is getting enough of my business. Between those trench coats, right now they're making me posable bandanas for the turtles.
Oh my.
They're going to be making me a cloak for my Mask of the Phantasm figure I'm working on. They're going to potentially be making a soft goods spandex suit for my Juggernaut figure. So I am supporting local customizers, Jamar. But I shouldn't have to go that route.
Yeah, it makes sense.
For something that, like...
And you said it's 35?
It's usually the exclusives around 30, 35. It's really hard to gauge the cost because Ringside Collectibles, since they pay to have things flown in from the manufacturer versus paying like Walmart and Target just have them freighted in, so they get them a month or two in advance, so they charge more. So like an Elite figure, if you go to Walmart or Target, it's $20. If you're lucky and your Walmart sucks, you get them for 15, because someone didn't know what they're doing and marked them down for clearance. And if you go to Ringside, they usually start at about 25, and if it's a chase or if it's an exclusive, usually it's like 30 to 40. Just kind of depends on the demand, and the more that they like sell through an order, it seems that price kind of keeps going up and up. But yeah, enough about Mattel and my wrestlers. Well, actually, not enough about wrestlers because we still have 2 more stories regarding wrestlers. But enough about Mattel. So I'm gonna give a fair shake to Jazzwares. They felt a little left out in the fact that Mattel pretty much just dropped it on the table over the weekend. So they revealed some prototypes, or not really prototypes, but some images of figures they're working on. They have this is for their AEW line also, since I forgot to mention that. So we've got Orange Cassidy, we've got the Bastard Pac, and we have Darby Allin. Orange Cassidy, the cool thing about him is it's not shown in the picture, but Jeremy Padawer later took a picture. They're going to have a denim jacket and a shirt that he's going to have with him that are soft goods. And apparently like his pockets, because his whole gimmick is essentially he's very low effort and he comes in, puts his hands in his pockets, and just kind of like he'll like kick you in the shins a few times, and he'll do something spectacular, and then it'll go back to like low effort. And like you could put his hands in his pockets.
That's cool.
Based on the pictures they showed, though, my only concern is it looks like they just molded like a rubber piece for the pockets to come out from the pelvis, so you can fit his hands in.
Oh, I guess I see what you're saying.
And the problem with that is unless you're going to have him posed with his hands in his pockets 100% of the time, that means when you don't have his hands in his pockets, it's going to look like he has these two like weird like bulges on the sides of his legs, like he's got oranges in his pockets.
Yeah.
And the solution I would have offered for that would have been, since they already do the rubber like lower torso, for him just do a rubber pelvis piece like they do for Storm Collectibles figures, because then you could just essentially cut those slits and he can just dig down into his empty crotch area and problem solved.
Yeah.
But it's still really cool
Or
that
make
they were
soft
able
good
to, they were, yeah, that would have been, I feel like it would have been a little harder to do that. But I mean, overall, it's super cool that they were able to do that, because everyone was like, kind of like, will they, won't they? Because it's kind of a really strange thing to attempt to do, and they pulled it off, and I'm sure it's going to look really cool. As far as the other two, Bastard Pac used to be in WWE, and I didn't care about him now, and I don't really care about him then. Darby Allin looks cool because he like paints half his face and sometimes half his body and shit.
Cool.
And he comes with a skateboard, and he's done some really weird shit in the ring where like he's jumped off top rope with the skateboard and like landed on a group of people and stuff, and stuff that seems overly dangerous for no reason.
Yes, but, extremely.
But that's wrestling for you.
That's why it's all elite.
Yeah, all elite. Oh, that's because they're all gonna have elite passes to the hospital. But the moving on, the final piece of wrestling news. This one's my favorite out of the three. So Matt Cardone and Brian Myers from over at the Major Wrestling Figure podcast. They used to work for WWE. They got released during the Black Wednesday incident after COVID hit, and WWE decided they wanted to maximize profits to keep their stock prices high. I think Matt Cardone just actually debuted on AEW, and Brian Myers just debuted on TNA Impact Wrestling. But they have figures coming out that have nothing to do with either lines. They signed a contract with a few other companies, one of them being Super 7, who we're very familiar with. Yeah. Because Super 7 has a New Japan Wrestling line, which kind of scales with the WWE figures really well. Just has like a little bit more articulation and definitely a lot better detail.
Yeah.
So they're each going to be getting a figure from them. Cardona has 4 interchangeable heads, 3 sets of hands, a microphone, the Stomp in Paradise dog tags, his Broski Bucks, and his own action figure, so you can have your action figure playing for an action figure.
Yeah, that's meta.
And Myers has similar 4 interchangeable heads, 3 sets of hands, a microphone, Stomp in Paradise dog tags, and his own action figure. So the only difference between the two is Matt Cardona apparently emailed Super 7 and was like, yo, let me get my Broski Bucks in there, because he's the $1,000 Broski. So those are, they're just kind of 3D renders, no color or anything like that. But second Super 7 announces those for pre-order, I'm definitely hopping on that, because that is exciting news. But that's not all they announced. They also went on to announce that they're continuing. They have ringside exclusive action figures that they've been doing for their podcast. But they've always been, since at the time they were under contract with WWE, so they couldn't really compete. They were these little like He-Man / like luchador knockoff type figures. So like they're like bulky and kind of short and stout. And they always had these masks on, so it was like you knew it was them, but it was enough that they could get away with it and not have to worry
right
about getting in trouble with their work.
Right.
But so now all of these will come with interchangeable heads with their actual sculpted heads, but you also have the masks. But they announced a few new sets, so we've got, where'd it go? They've got their current gear set coming out. They've got their Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen jerseys set, which is because they call themselves the Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen of wrestling figure collecting.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Do you know who they are?
I know who Michael Jordan is. Fuck you. And I know Scottie Pippen was on the Chicago Bulls.
There you go. That's all you need to know. That's all you need to know.
They've got their Epic Moment, which is the WrestleMania 34 gear from when they won the Tag Team Championship in their hometown. That one's mostly a jab at Mattel because Mattel never released figures of them in that attire, even though like they were the go-to. Like anytime there was wrestling news, they'd come to them, have them like announce it at Comic-Con and shit, and like they just got shafted all the time. They have a set that is the $1,000 Broski in his like purple $1 Million Man suit, and the bare minimum Brian T-shirt, Brian Myers figure set. And then they announced 2 individual figures, which are pretty cool. So there's a third host of the show who's mostly their producer and editor, but like within the past, I want to say 6 months to a year, he's kind of been on the show more regularly. He is a wrestler actually at Brian Myers' wrestling school. His name is Smart Mark Sterling, and he's getting his action figure in that form as well. And then they are friends with a referee from WWE who collects referee action figures, so they are making a wrestling referee figure that does not at all look like John Cone, the WWE referee.
Yeah, this whole explanation of why this exists and everything just sounds bonkers to me.
So they've like got like a group like of friends who either have worked with them in the indies or in other promotions or in WWE, who like everything from like producers, referees to actual wrestlers who collect action figures, and a lot of them have like become like part of their show in some way, shape, or form. Whether they like do events with them when they do their like charity like Christmas wrestling toy drive, or when they do like they have like live events where they go and they like do a whole like podcast in front of a crowd. And one of their close friends, John Cone, is a referee for WWE, and he collects referee action figures. So like a lot of times, like they at one of their live events, they actually invited him so they could give him this super rare referee figure and get his reaction in front of a crowd.
I didn't know referee action figures were a thing.
Not anymore. Like they used to be all the time back in the 90s and the 80s. Like referees were a pretty common thing, but nowadays they don't make referees. Like the closest thing is Mattel did a Build-A-Figure of an old like referee when they still wore the bow ties and shit. But that's about the extent of it.
Right.
And even like WWF used to do like Earl Hebner and some of the more popular referees in their old WWF line, but that's about it for that. But yeah, so they have a referee figure, and like the face, it's clearly John Cone, but for legal reasons, he is a referee who may be named John, but he does not have a last name Cone.
Right.
They made sure to specify that multiple times on their podcast when they announced it. And then the last thing that they announced was a set of micro brawlers. So micro brawlers come in the pro wrestling crate from prowrestlingtees.com. There's these little rubber figurines. They don't like pose or anything like that. They're kind of like, have you ever seen the mystery minis at like Hot Topic that come in the little bags and they're keychains and they're rubber? Same exact technology where they just like make a front and back and then they glue them together. These are just wrestlers and look a little cooler and don't have like the giant anime heads. But they announced a set of 4. They've got Matt and Brian, Swoggle, who used to work for WWE but has been on the indies for a few years now. He's one of their close friends. And then Smart Mark also is getting Micro Brawler. None of these things have any sort of release date or time frame, which is pretty much on par for how their announcements go, because they don't have a whole lot of control in the situation because they're not the manufacturer. They're just the ones who are like essentially putting it out there like to get these things made and citing the contracts and stuff. So realistically, if you're interested in these, you're just going to have to listen to the podcast, follow them on social media. I would suggest being a part of the Patreon. That's the only reason why I was able to get those t-shirts I showed on my weekly purchases last week, was because I was in the Patreon group, because they give the Patreon members a code to get on Ringside Collectibles ahead of time.
So you get your first dibs.
So they sell out before they even make it to the general public. Like they gave Patreon members an hour early head start on the t-shirts and belt combos, and they sold out in 11 minutes.
So just say Patreon exclusive.
Yeah, which that's not on their fault. They did not anticipate how popular these were going to be, because all of their other releases have been even more limited, and they didn't sell out as fast. So they were kind of shocked because they did 500 of each shirt with the belt, But yeah, they sold out pretty quick. Way less, fast than NECA, but still pretty quick.
Way less fast.
But yeah, so super excited for that because I'm a huge fan of the show. I'll probably actually start watching a little bit of Impact just to see what Brian Myers does. I have to watch AEW anyway for Gimmick Minutes, so I'll at least see Cardona that way. But moving forward, we've got McFarlane Toys teased the DC Multiverse Chase figures. And from the looks of it, it's going to be Arkham, Joker, and Deathstroke. Like, that's the outlines in the silhouette. Mm-hmm. I have to assume it's going to be, like, Joker when he's, like, skin's peeling off and he's dying from basically overdosing on the Titan formula in Arkham City. And then I have to assume, I don't know what Deathstroke's going to be, because even, like, if you go from Origins to Arkham Knight, his costume didn't change much. So I'm not sure if it's just going to be like a different color scheme they're going to do, or maybe it's going to have a Slade head. I'm not sure, but I'm excited for it.
I mean, I'm just spitballing it out there. What do they have, like a release date or anything for this yet?
No, I have to assume it's going to come out the same time as the other figures that we talked about last week with those 2-packs.
Oh, okay.
So I have to assume it's going to be, I think it was November or October where the 2-packs were coming out.
Just saying, we've been waiting for a new Arkham game for a long time. This could be a little hint.
Here's your problem. Joker's dead in the Arkhamverse, so...
Yeah, but get that buzz, get that hype out there, man.
And these are going to come out. These are going to come out like a month or two after the game would be announced at that point, because DC's doing their fan show in August.
Release the game when the figures come out.
Yeah, because that's gonna be, because DC totally ever has done anything.
You gotta have hope.
I have zero hope at this point. Like they've given us the tip too many times on new Arkham stuff with teases on Twitter, and then nothing for months. So I'm done. I'm done with those blue balls.
Right.
McFarlane Toys also announced they have the Witcher license now, which my response to this is, how about you put out the Skyrim and Fallout figures before you start obtaining other video game licenses, you fucks. Like literally 2 years ago when they started obtaining all these fucking licenses, they're like, we've got Fallout, we've got Skyrim, we've got this, we've got that, and I'm like, yes, because Funko did a terrible job with the Fallout figures and the Skyrim figures, to be honest. So I is 100% down. Hasn't fucking said a thing since they got DC. They're like, this is where the money's at. Fuck your Fallout. And now they're
maybe if that was successful. I mean,
fuck you.
All right. This is a good thing. This isn't a gaming show.
But yeah, so I mean, for people who are a fan of The Witcher, like that's a cool thing.
Because
I'm curious
it hasn't
if it's
been
going to be
everything else,
Yeah, because I'm curious if it's going to be more based off of the TV Netflix series, or if it's going to be based off the game.
It's got to be game because it's Wild Hunt.
I didn't even notice that.
Yeah. Because it's the Witcher Wild Hunt, which is 3. So I think it's going to be mainly.
It'd make more sense to be the game anyway, because then you don't have to worry about paying Henry Cavill any money.
Right. Which, I mean, I guess you kind of like bummed it out a little bit of me because you said, you haven't gotten your Skyrim or your Fallout. But I would be actually kind of interested in The Witcher because I like the game, but I just don't want to play it. But it'd be cool if I could have like some figures from it. I'm down with that. Like Yennefer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jesus. But yeah, so literally all they have is a graphic. There was no prototypes, nothing announced, no time frames. So I have to assume once they start just the DC machine like either takes off on its own and they don't need to do anything but have that on autopilot, they'll start working on the video games figures again.
Yeah.
But we probably won't see or anything about them until I assume Toyfare, because
it's a bummer.
At this point, with the way things are here in America, we ain't having NYCC. We might as well just accept that now.
Probably not.
I thought I heard somewhere that it was already canceled, but I honestly don't know. However, Funko announced a new line of retro pops, and these ones I have no interest in buying them, but they're pretty cool. So they've got G.I. Joe Zartan, G.I. Joe Shipwreck, the Stretch Armstrong, Mr. Potato Head, Glowworm, and the dude from Operation with the game board.
These are pretty cool. I've made it clear how I feel about Pops, but
Oh, me too.
the Stretch Armstrong and the Glowworm, something about that just does that for me. It's so cool. And then
the Operation dude
from Operation, yeah, it's so hilarious. I love though that the Mr. Potato Head just looks like the Mr. Potato Head.
Yeah, he doesn't look like borderline doesn't look like a Funko Pop. I feel like this is the point in Funko where you either realize you've made it or that you've jumped the shark, because you've gotten to the point where you've done virtually everything else that you're doing.
Yeah.
The dude from the Operation board game.
Hey man, that's a household name. Everyone knows Operation.
But they don't know who the dude is.
Well, maybe they should,
I mean, they've been cutting into him for years, so you'd think that we would know him.
It's a fun, cool idea. Like, I'd like to see this. Yeah. Like, is this their first line of like doing these retro?
Yeah, this is the first thing that they've done, as to my knowledge, with these retros. Because in all the things I read, it was all announced new retro line. So I'd assume that means that once they sell these, like they're gonna come out with like next year. You're gonna get Monopoly Man and
dude, that would be dope though.
And the children from Chutes and Ladders.
Dude, could I get the click bubble from Sorry?
Oh my!
Just the click bubble.
But it has to have like a free floating dice in it, though, right?
Yeah, of course that would be. That's funny.
Oh man. Yeah. So next up we have NECA, which the only thing really they announced after we finished was they're doing a repaint of their Rhino Alien figure, which this was based off a Kenner figure way back in the day, and for anyone who missed out on their version of it that they did previously, they're repainting it with a different set of colors and re-releasing it later this year, which looks pretty cool. Even if you're not an Alien fan, like if you've got like some like G.I. Joes or even like superhero figures, this would be a great just random like creature for them to fight. It doesn't like it looks enough like the Aliens that like you know what it is, but doesn't look enough that you couldn't mash it up with other figure lines.
That's some solid advice right there, Mike.
I know. Always full of solid advice. Solid something. Mezco kind of just disappointed this year. Like on last week's episode, we talked about the one announcement they had made, because I'm not talking about their Living Dead dolls or anything like that, only their 112 line, which I believe that was Bishop was the first one they announced for us last week. Well, this week, technically Friday and Saturday, they announced two new figures. That's the Death Dealer, who I believe is just an original character, because I have no clue who it is. And then they announced John Constantine. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm on board for both of these. Like, the Death Dealer.
You're saying you're disappointed. I was confused.
Well, I'm disappointed in the fact that this is all we got.
Oh, okay. I
feel like the problem with having Comic-Con at home is normally they'd have a display, like they'd have their entire square blocked off, and then you go in and they have just like walls of dioramas with figures both new and old like mixed together, and you're like looking through and you're like, okay, that's new, or that's been updated from the last time we saw it, or whoa, look what they did with that figure that we've had for how long. Where Comic-Con Home is literally just, here's some pictures of the new things. So like you're so overwhelmed by how much you see that it feels like you're getting a lot.
Right.
Compared to now where it's just like, here's some pictures. But the Death Dealer looks cool. Like he could definitely pass for Ares and fight Wonder Woman.
Oh yeah.
So I'd be, not to mention he'd also pass as just a fucking hell demon to fight John Constantine, like, and Constantine looks great. Like they managed to, because usually the ties that they do with the suits, like when you pull them down, it's just like an elastic band that goes around their neck, but they actually like made this one like loose, so it's kind of hanging down. So that's actually, I think that's pretty cool. They even have
trench coats, man.
Oh yeah, I love me some trench coat mafia, baby. So we've got his trench coat. He's got like the weird like Doctor Strange like glowy shit that for when he's like casting spells. They even have one of his hands has a cigarette in it. One of his heads is like him beat the shit. So I'm down.
Cool.
Who knows when we'll see pre-orders for him, because with COVID everything got pushed back. So normally like February would have hit and we would have had like 10 figures come out, but we had like maybe 2 that made it through the cracks before COVID, and now they're like trying to play catch up. So it probably won't be till 2020 is my guess. Then we'll see any of these 3 actually start shipping out. They also did like one thing that kind of upset me, but I got lucky anyway. They randomly dropped the bad guys for the Golden Dragon that we talked about. The Ninja Gomez, the Golden Skulls, which were basically just ninjas in like black geese and had gold skulls for their heads. Those just randomly got dropped. They did not announce it on social media. It wasn't like if you went to Mezco.com, it was nowhere. You either had to have a direct link or you had to search for it through their website.
Yeah.
And they sold out pretty quick, but then they put up pre-orders. So I missed on the initial orders, so I won't get mine in October like everyone else. But I'll get them when they come out in, I think it's February or April. So pretty excited.
I like that they do that. That's kind of cool.
This
you
is
get
more
your
this.
initial run.
This is more of a recent thing for Mezco though, because like as someone who's been collecting this line for several years now, Mezco has pretty much had the NECA problem where it goes up, it sells out, good game.
Then that's it.
Like very rarely have they done the pre-orders afterwards. It's been something that they started doing within the past like year and a half. But I'm 100% down for it. Like as much as I'm all for like the value of figures, like, you know, going up so that way you can like trade for older things if you get something that's newer and like sought after and all that. At the same time, I still want everyone to be able to get one. So like I'd even almost be okay with it if they just did, you pre-order to what's made, and then if you miss out, that's on you and you have to pay more at that point.
Yeah.
Rather than having a set stock and then doing pre-orders. But I mean, either way, like the pre-orders were up for 24 hours, I believe. So like there was no reason to miss out on them, unless you just didn't check social media. Everyone going, "Oh my God, look at these secret fucking figures that they dropped."
Right.
Moving on to another company that starts with M, Mafex went and I guess technically kind of leaked some pictures. So these are shots like clearly they came from across the pond because the post that had them was in Chinese or Japanese, and it's like a final product, so it's assumed that someone from the factory or someone nearby or someone in power got a hold of it. But the blue Batman Hush figure now has full inbox and like taken out of the box pictures available, and it looks fucking great, and I can't wait for mine to show up.
Looks really good. Is this like a little bit of a spoiler for you to see it like this, or
no? Because they have their like shots,
press pictures,
the press photos that they do and stuff like that, so you know what the figure's gonna look like in advance. But it's always nice to see the final product, because with any toy company, you never know if it's actually gonna look that good when it comes out.
Yeah,
like hell, 80% of toy companies, the face and head sculpts are super detailed and like painted and look incredible when you see the prototype shots, and they show up and they look like a Ken doll. So like it's always nice, so you like at least have realistic expectations for when you get the figure, so you don't get it and you're regretting it. It's more of like, okay, so this is what it's gonna look like. I'm disappointed about that, but that looks cool. Or, oh, this looks absolutely amazing. It blew my expectations away. It kind of like sets the expectation to a reasonable standard, so when you get the figure in hand, you're not like, why the fuck did I buy this?
That makes sense.
So it doesn't like spoil it for you. But yeah, they're doing this one, and then the black version, I don't know when the hell that one's coming out, but that one's gonna have a gargoyle, so you can do the Jim Lee gargoyle cover pose. So I'm excited for that one. The Dark Knight Returns version is supposed to be coming out soon, but with the way things are going with COVID, everything's up in the air. We don't know when shit's gonna drop and when it's not. At least from some of these like import companies.
Yeah.
But the last piece of the news is from Hasbro, and honestly, I can't remember when these were originally supposed to come out, so this could be exciting news or disappointing news. Because we talked about them a couple weeks ago. It is the Cobra Island G.I. Joe classified 6-inch figures. It had Baroness, Cobra Trooper, Beachhead, and Roadblock. The sale date on them changed to August 1st, which, if you're watching this episode, it's either already past that point or it's tomorrow. So, I mean, it's exciting news if they were supposed to come out later, and now suddenly they're coming out now. But if they were supposed to come out a couple weeks ago, well, sorry. But, I mean, at least they gave an update instead of just being like, it gets there when it gets there.
Yeah. I would say, now you know.
Yeah.
And knowing's half the battle.
Ha 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 ha! I see what you did there.
There we go. It almost teed me up perfect for that one.
Oh, man, I almost did. I can't believe I didn't think of that and put it in the fucking show notes.
Yeah, that's why you need a co-host.
I'm legit disappointed in myself. Good thing I have you. Fuck.
That's a reference to G.I. Joe if you did. I'm just saying, just in case. I mean, just in case.
In case you're like us and you're not into G.I. Joes and you have no idea about the reference.
The only person that laughed was Jason.
Yeah, Jason was like, I get that reference. He's like, now do a He-Man joke.
I am He-Man. There you go. I think he said that.
I don't think that.
No. Oh, and actually, good call there, because I was going to mention how we haven't had any mention of He-Man on this episode, but you just brought it up subconsciously.
Yeah, man.
There you go.
It's always there. Always something there to remind me.
Every episode.
Well, you know what comes after the news, Jamar?
I think I do. I do believe it is Turtle Watch 2020.
Yeah, there's that fucking energy I've been waiting for 5 episodes.
That's because there's time to celebrate.
I know, right? This is one of the first weeks that it's like gone pretty well for us.
Right.
So first I want to talk about the fact that the Mutant Turtles obviously didn't hit Thursday in stores. Hit online for a second. And then they were like, oh, yeah, we didn't mean that they were going to get to stores on this day. So those slowly started trickling out this week. And some places are getting them sooner than others. They're slowly starting to pop up in more and more states. So at this point, if you're listening and you haven't found them yet, I would start searching twice as hard, because usually in the week span, these figures have hit all the targets. Like, for instance, with the Casey Jones and Foot Soldier 2-pack, people are still finding them, but it's a lot fewer and far between than the people who were finding them last week, when the week after they were supposed to hit. So keep trying to find them. Don't pay scalper prices until you absolutely have to. Realistically, these are slowly starting to come down because more and more of them are, being bought up and sold online. And what usually happens with that is they start cannibalizing each other, and they'll start undercutting each other's prices. Like, even the Mutant Turtles, like, those started hitting, and they went from going for $300 to now they're down to $200. And
Makes
most
sense.
of the ones in the sold listings are now below $200. So right now, and that's even shipped. Like, I saw one sell for $199.98 shipped. So, and this thing's gonna cost probably at least $20 to ship because it's huge.
Yeah.
So, like, you can get these for not a very big markup, but if you at least give it another week or so, you're gonna increase your chances of getting a good deal. But of course, like we talked about last week with Metalhead and Casey, talk to the employees, be polite with them, explain to them these aren't going to show up in your inventory because they're a NECA item, and just ask them very nicely to at least go back and check. And if you're lucky, they'll do their job, they'll go back, and they'll come back and you'll have some turtle figures. It's worked out for us a couple times, so that's
It
it's a proven practice. The biggest thing is just be polite, because on top of the fact there's a pandemic, these people don't get paid enough to deal with our shit. We're a bunch of overgrown children who play with toys, and they get paid shit to get yelled at by Karens all day. They don't need us crying over turtles in their face. Save that for Twitter. Yell at Randy to make yourself feel better, so you don't yell at the employees, because they don't deserve it.
That's very true. That's very true.
They're
awesome.
Yes, they are awesome. But speaking of Randy, so Pixel Dan did his promised interview with Randy regarding Comic-Con announcements and, just in general,
the good stuff.
All the things that have been happening in the past few weeks. And this interview has a lot of ups and downs. I took the cliff notes, but this was an hour-long interview that they did. And at some points, I'm praising you for what you're saying, and at other points, I'm like, what a fucking scummy answer. Like, fuck you. So let's start with some of the takeaways. In the beginning of the interview,
I was just clarifying. I have not watched the interview yet. So what you're telling me, I'm getting the interview from you.
I made sure not to tell Jamar about this interview, because I didn't want him to watch it in advance. I wanted his reactions to be in real time for the few people that are going to watch this video. Since I fucked up and didn't hit record on the video when I revealed Metalhead last week, and we missed you crying. I also want to specify, we aren't butthurt at NECA in regards to not getting toys. Both of us have gotten what we want in store.
Yeah,
we're still butthurt at how they handle these things.
That's what it is.
Is what we're mad about.
My anger came solely from the lack of communication, the clarification of just simply, like you mentioned, hey, the toys aren't going to be in the store on Thursday. They're only going to be online. That could have just been simply shouted out, and that would have saved a lot of people a lot of time. Or even
just said, hey, we're going to start shipping them out on that day.
Yeah.
Because I'm 90% sure every single date that has hit so far, none of these have been there on that day in any store.
Yeah. So that's shipping day. And that's all it is just small clarifications. And communication is the only thing I care about. I understand it's not easy.
Yeah, so we get it. It's not easy to, coordinate, especially because, like Randy even talks about in this interview, he's not in charge. He's just a designer. Which answers that question, because I didn't know what his fucking job was, aside from being the asshole on Twitter. But
no, I'm just joking. Go ahead.
But yeah, anyway, so the first thing that really, really grinded my gears is he started off this interview real bad. So Pixel Dan asked him some generic questions like, "Oh, how are things going?" Blah blah blah, and he has the nerve in one of his responses to say that sales are good.
I mean,
what?
Technically, they are good.
But, this goes back to what we've been saying for the past several weeks. Read the fucking room. You have a large amount of people who are upset that bots are continually getting these figures and they can't get them, and finding them in stores is a hassle because stores are only getting, 2 of each. It's not like with the previous sets where they'd have 4 of each set. Or
1 even, from my store.
Your store only had 1 of each.
It's weird.
So, read the room. That response, that's a big slap in the face if you're someone who hasn't been able to find these yet. Damn. Oh, fuck. Anyway, but yes, so then he went into another thing that kind of grinded my gears. He praised Dan Dan's thank you for coming on the show and doing this interview. I know things are tough right now. And he praised him for being, one of the reasonable people who he feels comfortable talking to about these situations, which I took as cough cough, I give you free shit so you won't be rude to me like Twitter people, cough cough. What? Again, read the room. People attacked poor Pixel Dan
Yeah, I saw
because
him
because he
getting
gets
attacked.
free shit and he was defending Randy, and then Randy goes on, he's like, I like you, you're reasonable. Like, this is borderline like Trump going like, I like the Fox News because they report nice things at me and ask me easy questions. Like, read the fucking room, man. Like, oof. Like this like I went into this interview with already low expectations, and that first 5 minutes I'm like, well, fuck, this is not going to be anything close to what I want it to be.
Right.
So next they started talking about the bots situation. And Randy specified that bots have been around for a long time. They've been in other industries, such as like I think we talked about before with like the shoe like collectors,
Yeah, sure.
and like show like tickets for events and stuff like that.
like concert tickets and stuff.
Yeah, like bots aren't a new thing, and even in collecting, like there's plenty of things that have been victims of bots. Like I feel like that's the reason why Mezco has evolved the way they have, is because used to like their stuff would sell instantly. Like if you weren't on the website sitting there clicking refresh and you got lucky, you didn't get it. And their site isn't very well built, so it would freeze a lot, and then it would tell you your payment was invalid, and you had to re-enter your credit card 6 times before it would go through, or tell you that it's already sold out. So trust me, bots have been in the collecting world, like toy collecting world, for a long time too. They just haven't attacked smaller companies, like not smaller in like size, but smaller in like price point, like NECA and Hasbro, for instance, and Mattel, until recently. And then he tries to blame the Twitter reaction on generational instant gratification, saying that this generation of collectors are so used to, they just want everything right then and there. If it's not there, then they're upset. And he says that like essentially no company is capable of getting these things to hit every single store on that date that they give, and people need to be understanding of that. But here's my problem. So there's a few companies that do on a regular basis, yearly, make it to these dates. One of them being Funko. Now I know Funko Pops are not as elaborate as NECA figures. They don't have their articulation or anything, but they're not just printed and then sold. They are still parts that some poor sweatshop worker has to put together and then put in a box and ship here, just like the NECA figures.
Right.
But NECA hits their release dates for pre-orders regularly. Funko, not NECA. Fuck you, NECA. Funko hits the release dates for these pre-orders regularly. Like if you go to GameStop and you pre-order Pop, very rarely is it not out at least the week of the date that is listed. Every year on Comic-Con, New York, SDCC, Toyfare, all of the major events, they have these figures in GameStop's hands at least a day or two in advance. Same thing with Walmarts and Targets. Usually Target this year, they fumbled the ball somehow. Some Targets got them, some didn't get them at all. But and Walmart, of course, doesn't give a fuck, so they just put them out the second they get them. But GameStop, like, they're street dated, whole 9 yards. You literally can't ring them out until the day they're released. And you can't pre-order them or anything, unfortunately. They just show up as a generic SKU. So Funko, a company that is literally younger than NECA. Like, NECA's been around for a lot longer than Funko has, as far as in like this capacity. Mm-hmm. And they are able to get this down right. And he has the nerve to say no company can do it.
No one can do it.
Like, I can't tell if he's just trying to defend their shortcomings, or if he's just that out of touch that he doesn't know, because if it's not something he collects, he doesn't pay attention to the rest of the industry.
Yeah, I feel like it could be a combination of both, to be honest.
It really could. Like, honestly, like, if I didn't previously collect Funko figures and didn't previously work at GameStop and don't go out every Comic-Con and shop to look at these exclusives in person and potentially buy them, I wouldn't know these things. So it's very possible it's just maybe ignorance is bliss and he just is completely unaware.
Right.
But at that point, I feel like you should be careful about what you're saying because you don't want to come off worse than things already are at this point.
Yeah, insensitive, I guess.
Which
is kind of too late.
Yeah, I mean, we're already up that creek.
Yeah.
So speaking of GameStop, so he then tries to compare it to video games and saying that it's easy for video game companies to come out on a certain date because the manufacturers can essentially just like airship them to these stores to get there on time. And they're smaller, so it's cheaper to ship, and they can't do that with action figures. Well, let me tell you something, Randy. I worked for GameStop for several years, and GameStop does not get these games day of. Manufacturers send these to the GameStop warehouses along with Target and Walmart and Best Buy, every other retailer, month in advance. And they usually get to the stores either several days or a week before the release date and are just street dated, and they're told to keep them in the back until then.
Right.
So it's not a matter of it's too expensive. It's they know when they can have them in stores, so they set that date later. It's called overpromise, underdeliver. Or no,
just planning.
That's what Neca does. It's underpromise, overdeliver.
Yeah.
So that's, again, on Neca. They could have easily known that they weren't shipping these out until these dates and set each one a week later.
Right.
Or just been more like week of this week of that week, not this Thursday, that Thursday, another Thursday. Like every single date they've given us were precise dates. So let's see, we're at what, 2 strikes now where things Randy used in his like way to defend NECA were inaccurate and unfactual.
Is there any good things coming from this interview?
There are, but I kept those at last because I wanted Turtle Watch to end on a positive note for a change.
Okay.
Because I don't want people to think that we're just like, fuck you, NECA, we're gonna sell our collections. That's not the case. Because again,
not at all.
We aren't mad at NECA for not getting the toys because we have found ours. We are mad because of the way they've handled situations.
Spoilers.
We'll get there. They wouldn't know it was spoilers if we wouldn't have said anything because they would just assume we were still talking about Metalhead and Casey Jones.
All spoilers?
So way to go. Then he went on to basically say, hey, things are better than they used to be. Used to be these were cons exclusive and you'd complain because no one could get them unless you went to the con. Well, while it's true, it's nice we can get them at retail versus them being strictly at the con. At the same time, when they were at the con, we had a fair shot to get, like, they'd put X amount up on their website every day of the con. So you still had a chance to get them online. So, like, yes, it's better because now I can potentially walk into Target, ask an employee, and he'll come out with my Metalhead, and I'll be all giddy, and then I'll surprise you on the show and forget to record, so no one gets to see the tears streaming down your face, so I have to put a little animated version of you in the show. But it's still like, okay, so that's like saying, oh, well, at least it's, things right now in America suck, but at least it's not World War II. Like,
yeah. I mean, I kind of honestly understand where he's coming from on that because when when I was talking to my wife about these and I'm like, yeah, it's a good thing that it's not a con only kind of thing. So like, cool that we have that opportunity to go into like Target and possibly get these figures, right? Mm-hmm. But then at the same time, I also thought, well, if it wasn't so much the fact that I couldn't get them through the con. If I didn't get them, it was because I wasn't there, like, ready to order them on those times. And granted, the bots could have gotten them or whatever, but I at least knew when to expect it.
Yeah, it was literally like
it's all
from the last week of July. Like, you had that Thursday through the Sunday of those were your chances to get them. And some of them, like, I went to NYCC that one year, and I had zero problems. Like, I went on, I want to say Friday, and I had zero problems getting the shredder set, the Mirage shredder. Like, I went up and I'm like, can I get 2? And they're like, oh yeah. And they just fucking grabbed them from a stack. Like, now I don't know if that set just wasn't desirable But
Right.
at the con itself, it wasn't hard to get. Like, there was no line. I literally walked up, and it was like maybe a minute long transaction. Probably took her longer to pick them up and put them on the counter than it did for me to ask and pay.
Right.
But like, yeah, I agree. I 100% like. I'm happy that we have a chance to get them on shelves. But like you said, at least then it was a set time, and there was no ifs, ands, or buts. There was no, well, you told me this date, but it's not this date, and now you're yelling at me because I'm yelling at you, saying, oh, well, you have unrealistic expectations, but you set those expectations.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that'd be like at the conventions if they would have been like, we're going to put these up for pre-order on our website the same day as the con, and then they did it a week later. Like,
and they're like, you guys are impatient.
Yeah. Like, it's and trust me,
right.
This isn't going to be 20 minutes of Neca bashing, because we'll eventually get to some good news. But, like, this was just, like, another thing where it was just, like, quit trying to, like, find ways to make yourself look better and just take some responsibility. Where were we? Oh yeah. So then, like I said, he mentioned that he's just a designer. He doesn't actually run things, so it's frustrating for him because he doesn't have any power in these situations. He just gets to relay things to the powers that be and kind of hope that they can try to improve.
Right.
So I do feel bad for him on that end. That like people, because he's basically made himself the face of NECA via social media, that people treat him like he gets to run the show and just shit all over him. I do want to say I don't agree with like the personal attacks. Like a lot of people have been real shitty to him as just a person. If you want to like yell at him and be like, fuck you, where are my turtles? Do it. But if you want to be like, I hope you die, you can go fuck yourself.
It's a tad bit extreme. Just a tad bit extreme.
Yeah, this has come from someone who hates people and was on Thanos' side during the Avengers movies. So if I disagree with you, you know you're a piece of shit. Then he started like talking about like what they want to do with the figures and the fact that they obviously want to try to keep the main 4 turtles in the line as much as possible, so if you missed them you have a chance to get them in some way, shape, or form, which is why like they did in wave 2 you had the brighter color versions of them instead of the cartoon colors. But he did mock the like Goofy Sports and other variations that Playmates did, which pretty much implies that we're not going to get any of those kind of things from him, which I knew. Sad. But as me, you, and Wes have talked, some other people had some different expectations of possibilities, and unfortunately, Randy's not interested in that. And Randy wants to deep dive into the movies and into.
Well, if you're going to run out. Like what else?
I mean, the cartoon they've at least got several years worth of like villains they can do.
Yeah, but
we want
characters. Turtles.
Well, I'm aware, but. I mean, they'll I assume they're just going to re-release the old versions like that they've done previously, just with new accessories like they did with the movie ones.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's realistically what you're going to see is once they start getting, like every few sets, you'll probably see where they put a turtle with one of the villains or side characters. And that's how if you missed out on your chance to get them, you have a chance to get them again. However, it sucks because then you have to compete with people who just want that other character. So then he went on to explain how things work with the Target and Walmart deal, which this is where the story gets a little more interesting and kind of makes you see things through more on their side and how they're fucked. And there's very limited things they can do to try to help us, even though they're trying. So with Target and Walmart, they're essentially those are the contracts with them are the reasons why NECA can't sell them on their site. And there was some like very small like confusion, like, okay, is it the retailer's contract or is it the master license from Playmates? Because if it's the master license from Playmates, okay, that's more understandable because you have zero control in that factor. Walmart and Target, like, you guys signed the deal, so you should have negotiated a little better, but I guess, Foresight's 2020, you didn't realize things were going to go as poorly as they did.
Right. Well, now I know.
But it's at least enough to know 100% it's Walmart and Target who are like, no, it has to be on our website. Though it seems Walmart's loosening up and being more okay, or they're finding loopholes, or Walmart just doesn't give a shit because it's toys. Then he went on to explain the reason why bots are able to successfully get all the stock at Target and Walmart, even though they're limited to 1 or 2 per household. So Walmart Target won't cancel orders. If it's 1 or 2 per household and you put a second order in, it doesn't care. They don't check it. They don't have anything on back end. So it's kind of like a hoping to deter people thinking, I can only get 2, so I might as well not even try to put another order in, or they'll cancel both. Not the case at all.
That's so silly.
And the reason why, so they're capable of doing this, and NECA could go through all the Target orders and cancel duplicates. Same thing with Walmart. But if they do that, they get a negative rating through the retailers. And if the rating gets too low, the retailers no longer will do their product online, essentially.
Well, there you go. Win-win.
So it's a damned if you do, damned if you don't. So they want to make it so obviously, especially with Walmart, all Walmarts aren't created equal, especially when it comes to toys. Some Walmarts get crazy amount of toys. My Walmarts are great for if you want Marvel Legends, Elite figures, DC Mcfarlane figures, sometimes the Black Series, even those Ghostbusters figures, galore. My Walmart doesn't have a NECA section at all, or a Funko section. So if I was into Pops, I'd be sure. I'd have to hope that I could get them at Hot Topic or GameStop or whatever. Target, on the other hand, all Targets have NECA sections. It's just a matter of if the rep is doing their job and putting them out. So, having these online, even though there's obviously issues, is a huge help, because finding them at Walmart, as we've proven, is very difficult. I got lucky and you were able to find mine for the KC RAF 2-pack, because the closest Walmart I have that actually has a NECA section is almost 2 hours away, because I live on a fucking mountain. So that's why they can't simply go in and cancel these orders. They did say, right. I don't know if it's Walmart, but I think they said Target is going to start working to have one of the CAPTCHA
that would be cool
things they have on their website, so that way you either have to I suggested a few weeks ago, pick the car out of the image or the street sign or whatever, or even something as simple as typing in a weird lowercase uppercase number phrase. Target is working on something to have that for their releases, so that's a nice progression. They said he didn't know if Walmart was going to be doing the same, if they're trying. But Walmart's also loosening up and letting them some stuff on their own website, which is where we get to the next item. So the Taka and Razar 2-pack is no longer going to be at Walmart. It's kind of crazy. It's not going to be available on their website or on their shelves. It's far enough back in production they were able to do this, that they are going to be running pre-orders on their website from July 31st, so if you're watching this when the show goes up today, till August 7th, which is next Friday. These are going to be on their NECA shop website. They're going to be $70. They're going to be limited to 2 per customer per household. And they will delete duplicate orders. And if you have a legitimate order and it gets canceled because their back-end program's doing too good, if you email them with your order number, they will reinstate your order. It just takes time.
That's cool.
They're currently doing that with a lot of the Comic-Con exclusives because they had that issue. And they have their IT people essentially going through 200 orders that were canceled that were legitimate and reinstating them.
That's cool.
And that you have to do through email. So if you haven't already, reach out to NECA via social media and get their email address, or just go to their website and hit contact, and I'm sure you can probably send them your order number. So yes, and these are going to be pre-order to be made. So whatever's,
that's how we want it.
So there's not going to be anything. This is what everyone's been bitching about for a month, is they want them to be pre-orderable for a certain amount of time and then not have to worry about it.
Yeah.
So if you're one of these people who's been wishing for this, don't you fucking dare not pre-order this.
You're talking to me.
Go to that fucking website. You pre-order. I don't even care if you don't want these figures. Fucking use them as trade bait to get the turtles you missed out on from Target and Walmart. You pre-order these because if you do, Randy has stated it will open doors for them. It'll prove basically that this is what will work, and we'll get more product this way instead of having to fight with Target and Walmart. So this is your chance to,
We got
speak with your wallets. Because obviously you can't speak for your wallets when you can't find them, because you can't just not buy them and be like, fuck you. So this is your chance. You buy these and prove to them that this is a working way, and we don't have to worry about the problem that we have now where you can't get anything. And
walking every Target.
if you can't swing $70 within these 2 Fridays, which essentially one of these 2 Fridays should be payday for most people, join a Facebook community, or make friends with someone on Instagram, or find a friend who is going to pre-order extra.
Half?
And I was going to say, just find someone who might be willing to order yours for you and let you pay them on payday. Because realistically, if you don't pay them on payday, they probably just sell it for twice as much in 3 months when it comes out. So it's a win-win for them anyway.
Right.
So like, find a way in the next week to get these, because if you don't, it's essentially good game. You're not going to find them anywhere but eBay, and you have no one to blame but yourself. And like, this is our chance to prove it, because if we do this, not only will we get more regular releases this way, he said, potentially, but it opens the doors for items that they want to make but can't, because Target and Walmart won't keep them on the shelves because they're too big or too expensive, because they want to do vehicles, dioramas, and play sets. And these are like items that'd be like a couple $100 and be huge. So like, they're right. Target and Walmart, right?
That's it.
Walmart, like, and Target won't carry them because of the shelf space and the price point. So they'll be able to do like pre-order to order, and then you get it a couple months later. And like, I don't know about you, but I want a party wagon and I want a Technodrome.
Right. That would be.
And I want the sewer layer.
Yeah, like the place that would be. Well, you kind of have it already going.
I mean, I have that diorama, but like,
official.
It's kind of small and kind of hard.
Yeah.
Like, you can see it in the back there. Like, I've got like Metalhead vacuuming under the couch I made and stuff, and like it works. But I'd like something a little bigger, a little more spread out.
Yeah.
But so like, support this. Do what you can. If you've complained about this at all and you aren't going to pre-order, then you're part of the problem, not solution, and I don't feel bad if you didn't get your turtles. He did specify Super Shredder is too far along in production to do this with. So what they're going to do is he's going to be available on their website to order, and then he's going to be available in Walmart stores.
For the U.S.
For U.S., yes, for here in the
cool.
U.S. And they said they ordered 3 times as many as they did with the previous movie's figures. So and with it being on their site, they're going to cancel duplicate orders. So there's a good chance to get Super Shredder, which takes a load off my shoulders, because I really wanted Super Shredder. And after the pains I had to put you through and your wife through to get Casey and Raph, I was like, oh, this is going to be rough. But if we can order them through NECA, I'm like all for it.
I wasn't even like 100% sold, but if it's not like super difficult, I might do it, just because.
Yeah, and I believe he said when they do them on their website for Shredder, it's going to be 1 per person. There's not going to be any, like, you can't buy 2, which kind of sucks. I almost would have wanted 2, 1 to have on display and 1 to keep in box. But that's not the end of the world. But yeah, so I'm trying to think if there's anything else we haven't. He did explain why the San Diego Comic-Con announcements were so lackluster. Like the fact that we literally got like 3 Ninja Turtle announcements and very few like Predator and Aliens. So with everything that was going on with people having a hard time finding the current Turtles and all of the chaos and everything, they didn't want to overwhelm us by also throwing in there, look what's coming out this fall, look what's coming out this winter. And be like, oh, not only am I currently trying to find these and I'm struggling, but now I have to worry about finding those in a few months. Like, he didn't want to add to the stress that we were already feeling trying to hunt these figures, which kudos to him. At least he recognizes that, like, we are fucked out here and we are trying and it's miserable. So kudos for him. Like, as much as I would have loved to have them flood the gates and show me a bunch of pretty pictures, I get it. It makes sense. I'm
not too mad at it.
He did explain the reason why they had such a lackluster, like, also like showing, was apparently they tried a few different things and they just weren't happy with it, so they're like, fuck it, we'll post some pictures. But yeah, so the only other thing he really talked about is he did say that they do want to re-release the Turtles, obviously, a couple more times so people have a chance to get them. However, it's going to be few and far between because every time they re-release the Turtles, it pushes back another character in the line. So, like, if they, for instance, the cartoon Turtles, if they put them in another wave, then, like, say the Triceratons, those get pushed back to the next wave because they had to make rooms for the Turtles.
Makes sense.
Which, yeah, 100% makes sense to an extent. Like, I feel as the manufacturer, you don't have to, like, unless it's a money issue, you don't really have to stay true to, like only, like, it's not like the Elite line where every wave, like, there's pictures of specific wrestlers who are in that, like, line. Like, these, like, yeah, they have pictures of the other figures on the boxes, but the waves aren't, like, they don't, like, this current wave isn't coming out at the same time. It's broken up into, like, 3 separate releases, and then you have Metalhead on top of it, so realistically, they literally could just repackage the Turtles and sell those as a separate wave consistently. Like, WWE Elite, the Elite line have top picks where they choose 4 of the top wrestlers currently WWE, and for that year, those ones are consistently shipped in a separate line to stores. So if you want an AJ Styles figure, he doesn't have to take up a spot in an actual
from the other
Elite
line
series, which they still do from time to time because they want to still put out new, like, attires and stuff. So that way it's not like, oh man, the only AJ I could find all year was this blue one, but I really wanted the purple one or something like that. So, like, they still throw them in to the line, but they have a separate line specifically for those main things. So NECA could, if they really wanted to, assuming, depending on the, obviously, contracts with Playmates.
Yeah, that's what I wonder, if that's the restriction on, like, how many characters or some weirdness like that that they can do in a year. So if they redo the Turtles, then it's like, all right, well, we have to push these back till next year or something like that. That's a possibility.
It's a possibility. I mean, it somewhat makes sense because this year, the way they made it sound, we have a lot more coming out still that we haven't seen. Because the way he made it seem, Wave 4 and 5 are coming out fall and winter. For the cartoon Turtles. And along with some other things that they plan on releasing but haven't announced. And based on that, because in the previous waves, it was literally that wave was it for the year. You might get some restocks here and there, but that was done. But even like then with Wave 2, when they announced it, it was literally the 2 packs of the Turtles, the army builder for the Foot Soldiers, and then Rocksteady and Bebop. That was all they announced. And yet they snuck another one in there with Shredder and Krang. So they proved that they're able to do this. It just kind of depends on, again, that master license with Playmates, because it could very well be something where they're like, you can only release the Turtles so many times per year.
Right, that's what I'm thinking. And it makes, I would believe it too, if that's the case.
Yeah, because Playmates is petty like that. They're like, no one buys our shitty figures, so they can't buy yours either.
No.
And Randy did say that he did kind of watch the Comic-Con set Fumble on Target firsthand. Like, he was on the website just testing it to see, like, what people were experiencing. And it, like, he was genuinely upset at the experience. And he did mock the bots and basically, like, say, like, scalpers need to go and get a real job and or no honest living.
Okay. Well, see, maybe it was because he was saving this for the interview, and I don't want to, like, take it too far on a tangent, but why couldn't he have just, like, joked about it, like, during the timing? Because that's all I was looking for. I'm refreshing just to see, like, if he's like, guys, I know this sucks, like, hopefully you can get through, but there's just no communication.
That's the problem. I feel like a lot of us have, and I feel like that's what the part he's not understanding is. I feel like he's so used to getting bashed on Twitter that he feels like no matter what he does, because his attitude throughout this entire interview was, "I'm damned if I do, damned if I don't." Like
right.
none
But
of
that's
it.
not 100% the case for people
If
who are actual fans and not being dicks.
Like you still have angry people tweeting and being upset about it. You're gonna have that no matter what. But at the level of like the magnitude that he's getting it, it's primarily because like the first set that went up with Raph and Casey, we were told it's up. Oh, the site crashed, and we're trying to get Walmart back online. Oh, we're gonna put it under our warehouse instead of theirs, so it makes it go back up. Oh, it's back up. Keep refreshing, and the entire time it just said sold out.
Yeah.
So like there was no like he was tweeting in real time, but nothing was actually happening.
Yeah.
And that was more so him just getting told things, and he was telling us as he gets told. So it's not on him per se of that one. But then after that, they just continually go radio silent when things go wrong. Versus, like you said, he literally could be like, "Hey guys, I'm on the site too. I see what you're seeing. I'm checking. I think the bots may have got him. I'm sorry. We're trying to find a way to make it work better." Instead, they either wait several hours and ignore it and go back to just retweeting pictures and replying to non-Twitter related things, or we don't hear from him for 4 days.
It's just weird. That's all I think.
Yeah, it's very much so like if you give us something, then you probably would get less backlash, because at least then we'd know you're trying versus you claiming you're trying, but then like Tinder girl ghosting us for several days.
Yeah. Don't ghost us. That's all we ask.
Yeah. That's literally all we want, is just don't ghost us. Like, we get it. We're going to yell at you. It sucks. But
we expected disappointment, to be honest, at this point.
We're gonna be less brutal on you if you're at least like forward with it, and like don't leave us on red. Don't get snarky with us. Don't act like we're the problem and you guys are great. Like, just take responsibility. Like, hey, we're fixing it. We're trying. It's gonna take time. We're sorry. We fucked up. We can't really do much about the bots. And suddenly you cut those responses in half. I'd guarantee it.
Disable them with kindness.
Yeah.
So what else was?
The one thing so this is something that I thought was interesting, and this is more on Pixel Dan. So Randy started to address the situation where people were attacking Pixel Dan and Matt Cardona because they were getting free figures. And like he apologized to Dan. He's like, yeah, I know that you and also Matt Cardona have been getting hate and all that because, you know, of your friendship and your you know, knowing me and me sending you free figures and everything. And then as he was about to start a new sentence, there was a jump cut. And suddenly he starts talking about like how great some of the figures in the line are and how proud he is of them. And like I watched this segment 5 times because I was trying to figure out, like, did he really just have a dementia moment and just start rambling about something different? Or did Pixel Dan edit out a section? Like, did he maybe take things too far and either say something he shouldn't have? And he's like, hey man, I'm gonna get a lot of shit from people if this gets out. Can you cut it out? Or if Dan just didn't want people, you know, in on it and knowing why he gets free stuff. I don't know. I just know that I watched it 5 times and it is a clean cut. It is not like a Skype or Zoom lag where it's like jaggedy. It literally is. He's looking this way talking about, oh yeah, because you guys get free figures. And then suddenly he's looking straight at the camera talking about how great the figure line is. So Pixel Dan, if you need someone to edit your shows to make it look a little more cleaner when you cut out some bullshit, hit me up. But yeah, so I'm curious. I'm genuinely curious. Like, nothing against Pixel Dan. I want to know why that was edited out. Like, I just want to know what he said. Like, was he gonna be like, well, fuck you guys, I can give figures to whoever I want? Or was it just like maybe he peeked too far behind the curtain and he was like, oh shit, yeah, you shouldn't put that in there.
You can't. Yeah, you can't.
But yeah, he also did admit, like, he didn't apologize, but he admitted that he does let his frustrations and irritations get the best of him from time to time. And I'm like, yeah, we fucking know.
We see.
But on that's it for the NECA part of Turtle Watch 2020, which I feel like at this point is probably most of the show.
It's a big
There is one other piece of turtle news though, which the Series 1 of Super 7 with Raphael, Splinter, Baxter Stockman, and the Foot Soldier went back up for pre-order on Big Bad Toy Store. So I'm assuming they ended up getting more inventory than they intended. Or they were able to order more from Super 7. And the only downside is you can't pre-order them individually. You have to pre-order the entire set.
Oh, God.
So, fuck me. I'm going to have Shredder, Foot Soldier,
No.
and Baxter Stockman to
Don't do
try
it.
to trade. Oh, it's too late. I already hit the pre-order.
No.
Because I already pre-ordered the Leo and Mikey and Shredder and Rocksteady and Bebop. So I needed Raph. I can't have 3 of the 4 turtles. As much as we all agree Raph is the worst, even though oddly enough, like he seems like outside of our group, he seems to be most popular, which is real weird to me.
Yeah, because they're wrong, man.
I'm aware they're wrong, but I have to have all 4 turtles. So
yeah, I don't blame you on that.
I broke down and I hit the pre-order button on the set. So I'm gonna have to find. I'm hoping someone will be like, I really want Splinter or Foot Soldier or Baxter Stockman, and I'll be like, hey, you want it for $50 plus shipping? Because yeah, the set of 4 is $200, so I'm like, oh, it's gonna hurt, but gotta do what you gotta do, man.
You do.
And
on a happier note.
Yeah, so happier note. There is we talked earlier in the show about a giveaway, and I made you sit through an hour worth of garbage for it to finally come up. But here on Modern Toy Fair, when we find nice things, we like to spread the love. So we are going to have a giveaway when the channel hits 100 subscribers, which is not a huge feat. I could have been like 500 or some major milestone, but I want to get our foot in the door. I want to get our feet wet. I don't need us to explode, but I want to get the word out. I want people to at least pretend they watch the show. So once we get 200 subscribers, we will be giving away the Musical Mutagen Tour merch bundle. I know, disappointing. It's not the 4-pack. I'm sorry. You'd have to get us to 1,000 subscribers for me to think about giving away $125 worth of product. So this set does come with an extra large T-shirt, the souvenir ticket,
right here,
which he's wearing
on camera for the audio listeners,
the con tote bag, the backstage pass, and the 4 different colored guitar picks. We will pick the winner randomly. The way you enter is either on Twitter or Instagram. There's going to be a graphic post that will have all the same instructions in it. It'll just be a little prettier than me telling you. And you have to either retweet or share that post with the hashtag ModernToyFair100. Pretty simple, right?
Easy.
And you must be subscribed to the channel to win, hence getting the channel to 100 subscribers. So I realize it's nothing super exciting, but I know people like Jamar were very excited about this bundle pack, and it's hard to find either way. So what better way than to win it for free?
Absolutely. I plan on shadowboxing mine.
Ooh, that'd be kind of cool.
Yeah.
You'll have to send me some pictures, and I'll post it to Twitter and Instagram when you do. But yeah, so we are having a giveaway, so make sure to check that out. I'll have the post ready once this goes up as well. But next up, it is weekly purchases. Do you want to go first, or would you like me to go first?
Well, I mean, assuming you're going to probably have more than what I have.
I have a lot this week. Like, I think I have the most I've had in a while.
All right, well, let me show off mine. So the frustration, disappointment, confusion, maddening search for the Mutant Turtle tour, Mutagen tour, whatever, coming out of our shells. I'm gonna fucking say it. Anyways, we finally got them. I was lucky enough to go to my Target in the morning and get mine. So here are my lovely things here. My horrendous, terrifying, scary, weird looking.
Oh, dude, these are nightmare fuel. Like,
oh god, there we go. Cover up that lighting. Yeah.
I don't know. I almost wish that I would have rather just had them fucking washed out by the light.
Right. I mean, you guys all know what they look like. I mean, there's nothing different about them in person other than I am so happy that I have them. I have a question, Mike. On yours, you had that little black wire that coming out of there.
Mm-hmm.
Did you just take that shit off?
No, what I did with mine is
I took that shit off.
I took and I just put it down underneath their shell.
But what is it for?
It's a wired headset. It was the 90s, Jamar. They didn't have fucking Bluetooth.
Yeah, but the wire's coming out of the top.
Oh, I'm aware it looks stupid, but I was like, I'm not gonna rip it out of the figure.
Yeah, I did. So it came right out. So if you want yours to not look really weird, yeah, I'd suggest doing that.
I don't know, I assume that probably looked like on stage. I assume, otherwise they wouldn't have done it that way.
Look, cable bottom, not top.
I'm aware. Again, find some pictures of them on stage and we'll talk. But for now, I'm going to assume in the 90s, that's just how shitty mics were.
That's how. Spoiler alert: the mics didn't work. They weren't using the actual mics on their head.
Well, duh, and that's why you'll notice the wire that comes down goes absolutely nowhere.
Fair point. But yeah, that was my weekly purchase. I was too exhausted after getting those to worry about anything else, to be honest with you. And yeah, so
I can't blame you for that at all. I really can't.
Although I do have Metalhead somewhere around here, which
he came in.
That was a weekly purchase for you. And also you have a Godzilla on your way that's in a box at my job right now. So.
I was gonna ask if you sent it out yet.
I forgot. I left work. I had it all taped up, and I left work, and I was driving home, and I was like, I was supposed to stop by the damn. So it's sitting in my locker.
Which I still can't find 89 Godzilla. So if you see that one with the green box, grab it.
All right, I'll keep an eye out.
Yeah, don't wait for me and my phone that doesn't like to send me notifications to reply. Just grab it and I'll PayPal you.
Absolutely. But yeah, that's my show and tell for this week.
Sweet. So I had basically a lot of things that I had either ordered come in at once, or a lot of things that I had found in store, and I was like, oh, well, this is convenient. So obviously, since I already brought mine up to show you what I did with my wire, I too got the Mugen Tour Nightmare Turtles. I borderline feel like, you know how they did the Banana Splits movie, but it was a horror movie and they came to life and murdered people? That's what I feel like every time I look at these turtles. Like, I feel like they came to life during the show and just murdered everyone's families. Next, I talked about this last week, but I got a pretty good deal on the Figure Arts re-release of Vegeta, where he's in like the brighter cartoon colors instead of being in the more like manga colored scheme. And he's pretty awesome. They also added, like, I'm not going to attempt to show you, but on his scouter, it's got like the little like writing and stuff.
Crosshair. Oh, okay.
So
okay.
like it's like him, like he's reading someone's power level, which I'm like, all right, way better than the original release, 100% worth it. Now I know that we tell people not to pay the scalpers, but sometimes you have to, and it's just part of collecting. And sometimes you have to bite the bullet, and in the same time, if you want to pick up an extra one and sell it online so you can afford to pay for things you missed out on, more power to you. I'm not going to call you a scalper. I'm just going to say you're supporting your hobby the way you can. But I had to pay double price.
Scalper.
Fuck you. I had to pay double price for this bad boy. Let's see.
That's cool.
It is the San Diego Comic-Con Mr. Freeze Funko Pop. And fuck you, Funko, because you sent one per goddamn GameStop.
That's crazy.
Like, I get this movie was trash, but Arnold Schwarzenegger was the only good part of it. And you make a fucking awesome, like, translucent blue with, like, frost painted on him version of it, and you send one? Each store had, like, 5 of the terrible Sonic the Hedgehog 2-packs that nobody wanted. It drives me crazy. But on brighter notes, while I was at Target looking for the Mugen pack the first 2 days that I couldn't find it, I did find 2 other things. So first was the 100th edition Alpha Predator.
Okay.
I haven't taken him out of the package just because it's been a long week and I haven't had time, but there he is. He's all cool.
That's cool. Cool.
Then, while I was attempting to find the 89 Godzilla and the Godzilla Returns Godzilla, which you ended up finding for me, I did find a Godzilla that I missed out on that they suddenly restocked on, which is
Oh,
the one based on the poster.
yeah. I was curious if you like. I came across that when we were out at one of
Mhm.
the Targets, but I thought that was in the picture of the one I sent you.
It was. That's why I didn't say anything, 'cause I had already
Oh,
found it at that point.
oh, okay, okay.
That's
I
why.
was like,
That's why I
what
made.
if
I
you
told
wanted
you to
that?
grab the other one was
Just the
because my
return.
Target got that one and a bunch of the 2014 and 2016 or whatever Godzilla's in, but didn't get
Okay,
any of the other ones.
gotcha, gotcha.
So I was like, all right, so I definitely need that. Um, so I grabbed that one because I missed out on it a few months back when I had the chance and I didn't buy it, and then it sold out. And I'm like, well, fuck. And then the last thing I got was in the mail.
Oh yeah.
I got and I'll actually turn down my lights so you can see this one a little better. There we go. So I got my Golden Dragon Gomez figure, Comic Con exclusive. The only difference is I took off the ugly ass roach head from their mascot, and I took a Bruce Wayne head and took some sticky tack and put the mask that comes with Wolverine on it, and the horns actually go through the holes where Gomez's antennas go through, so it worked out pretty perfectly. But this thing is sweet. Like I originally was on the fence of how much of it, because I told you that when it comes to these figures for like the Mezco mascot Gomez, I usually open up the action figure chop shop and just sell them for parts and trade for like things I need. Which I come on,
It's not gonna stand up.
Yes, it is.
It's not gonna stand.
Um,
Oh man, I was gonna try to blow it over. I'm joking. Go ahead.
which I still did. The chop shop was open for business. I made a lot of people happy, selling a lot of the items for a lot less than what some dude in the group. Jesus, some dude was trying to sell some of these items, like the swords and stuff, for like $60 a piece.
Holy crap!
And some people were buying them because like there's not a lot of people who piece these things out. Like it's not a common practice.
Either keep it all together. Yeah.
So like I essentially was like, okay, well I'm gonna keep the body just because that looks way too badass. I'm gonna keep the cloak because that's just really cool looking. I need at least a sword, and I'm keeping. They have like this little like sickle on a chain, so I'm keeping that because that's too cool. And I feel like that was it. And I sold all the extra heads. I sold some of the other like weapons, like the bladed staff and the stand and the shirt and all the extra stuff. I've got a few things left that are still like in negotiations with people, but for the most part, I've sold off most of the extra stuff, and I've made it back a majority of my money, so I'm happy with the purchase overall. Like I ended up getting a badass ninja to fight Wolverine or Green Arrow or whoever I choose for relatively cheap, so can't complain.
Yeah.
But that wraps up my weekly purchases. At least I think so. I don't have anything else hidden around here. So
Well, I didn't see you found this, so I'm joking. What could I have possibly found?
89 Godzilla.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's true.
I lit up thinking,
I'm so sorry.
and not tell me, and then you didn't. I'm like,
this
man,
point,
he
too.
called me a dick for not telling him and making him feel bad all day last week.
No, if I would have saw it, I would have told you, but I did not come across it. All of those Targets.
I'm not gonna lie, with the Mugen tour, when like Wes posted in that group that you found him in U1, I was like,
Yeah.
he's fucking with me, so you can reveal it on the show.
Yeah, when I sent you the message and was like, yeah, I went back to Maslin, the Maslin Target, and I didn't have them, and I was like, yeah, they were already gone. And I did the ...
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, he probably thinks I have them, but I really don't. Should I clarify that?
That's why
I was like,
that's
nah,
why I
I'll
made
wait.
sure stuff. I'm like, all right, well, I guess I'm going back out tomorrow.
Yeah, and I was like, all right.
So I was like, at that point, he's either gonna feel guilty, or he's gonna be like, "Fuck, I'm gonna be stuck with this $125 turtle set." But yeah, so now that Jamar sufficiently got my hopes up and crushed them, that's gonna be it for this week's Modern Toy Fair news. Make sure to follow us on Instagram and Twitter. It's at Modern Toy Fair. Jamar, what wonderful things do you have in the work this week?
Well, this week, because this goes live tomorrow, we had 2 episodes go live. We had a really entertaining episode that I think I already kind of gave you the heads up for. featuring Joseph from PlayStation Trophy Room on Why Are You a Gamer. He was really awesome, and President Obama may or may not have came to the show. Remember, I said ex-president. And
yes, you said. I remember that now. Yeah, ex-President Obama, as if he got kicked out of the White House, and we had to get the locks changed.
But outside of that, we also had an episode of Why Are You review for Ghost of Tsushima, and then Monday we have a new episode coming through with a. You think we collect toys and we have a lot? This guy full sets consoles. And what I mean by that is he purchases every game physically on consoles. It is insane. So he has a Switch library. Literally every game that has come out physical on the Switch, he owns it. And his interview was really, really cool. It was off the cusp a little bit. I didn't ask all the questions because I wanted to know more about his collection. It was really, really fun. So,
yeah, at first I thought you were going to say that he would collect every variation, like all the special editions. I'm like,
he has that too.
He does that too?
He has all the consoles. He has like every single handhelds that he didn't even know existed. He was buying those. Like, this dude's collection is insane. Literally insane. Well, not literally because it's not gone mad, but it is crazy how much he has.
It's metaphorically insane how many video games he has.
Yeah.
You know what?
Maybe
you should ask him to sell you the Mutants in Manhattan Ninja Turtles game.
I bet you he has it. I bet you he does.
Well, yeah, since you no longer do because digital is inferior.
Which actually turns out, I mean, I know this isn't the show for it or the place. I didn't actually buy it digitally.
Oh, you do have the
physical
copy?
I bought it physically. Yeah. I do not have it. Because at some point I must have traded it in or some reason, but
you traded in a game?
I guess so. I went back and went through stuff, and Wes was like, "No, I have it physically," and I'm like, "Okay."
I mean, it makes sense because I remember us all talking about you guys wanted it, like you were debating on physical because of the fact that like it's Ninja Turtles, so like you. I
don't remember it.
Oh, well, that's
the stupor. I must have like exchanged it or something.
Oh man, either that or maybe like. The wife got mad at you one day and threw it away.
Right. I wouldn't have gotten any trade in. It wasn't that great.
Yeah, it was like it was fun, but definitely we might have gotten like $10 for it. So like if you traded it in, man, that's
right.
That's rough.
That's all I have.
Well, you need to rebuy it because you talked about it. Now I want to replay it.
Right. I will get it.
All right, so make sure, like Jamar said, go check him out. He's got 2 episodes up this week of Why Are You a Gamer? And obviously the other one is Why Are You a Review cast?
Same feed. Feed.
He always comes with clever names with his Why Are Yous, and it always brings joy to me. But you can also catch both of us over at Media Junkie on the Fanboy Fight Club podcast, where essentially a bunch of losers argue about shit and make up fake facts and then get mad at each other when one of us becomes bitch of the week, and every episode's almost the last episode, so make sure to check it out so you don't miss out
before it's gone.
You can also catch me at Media Junkie on the Gimmick Minute Wrestling podcast, where me, Jason, and Kevin shoot the shit for about an hour about everything in wrestling, and the show keeps expanding to more and more because more and more people who we used to watch in WWE are going to other companies, so now we have to watch other places as well. So make sure to check that out if you'd like to support the show and help me with this terrible addiction that is toys. Go to tpublic.com. The link will be in the description below because I've put it there every time, but I still tell you to go search Modern Toyfare for some reason. If you click that link, it'll take you to my store. I've got all of our logos for both Modern Toyfare and for all the Media Junkie shows. I've got all sorts of different masks you can buy, so that way you can avoid spreading a pandemic around. I've got all sorts of different t-shirt designs that I've worked up in Photoshop, all sorts of different things, Dragon Ball Z, superheroes, Marvel, DC, references to wrestling. Like, there's tons of stuff on there. Take a look. Maybe you'll find something you want. I appreciate it regardless. As always, please like and subscribe. Hit the little bell if you want notifications when our videos go up. We have Modern Toyfare news on Fridays, and we have Modern Toyfare reviews on Mondays. This past Monday, I went through and reviewed the wrestling figure. It's the Figures Toy Company steel cage that goes with the rail scale wrestling ring. And a few people really liked that because they were on the fence about buying it and had some questions. So make sure to go check that out. I think that's it for this week. So hopefully we'll see you next week. Same toy time, same Toyfare channel. Thanks for watching.